Dr. Mary Byrne is co-founding member of Missouri Coalition Against Common Core. She received a master's in instructional design and a doctorate in special education, and she spent the past 37 years in education, including working as an undergraduate and through graduate levels as a coordinator of curriculum, assessment, and accreditation. Her current professional interest is in differentiated instruction for all students in regular classrooms and supporting parents as their children's most important teacher. She's agreed to work with the Missouri Lieutenant Governor Peter Kinder's invitation on Missouri's academic standards work group for secondary history constituted by recent Missouri legislation. Please welcome Dr. Mary Byrne.
Okay, I'm very pleased to be here. It's a particular honor to be here with Eagle Forum because Phyllis Schlafly was unreserved in reminding the Republican Party that it was America first, not Republican first. And that's what I want to show you here today. So I'm going to start out with what progressives don't want you to know about classic literature, comparative literature, world history and religion, American history, government and civics, and why in 15 minutes or less. As soon as I learn how to do this. Oh, it's you. All right, so I do teach graduate level. I don't mean to overwhelm you. I will read quickly. The whole point is we're going to have four main ideas here. We're going to discuss the philosophy of Common Core standards in the context of Plato's Republic and the Republic in the book of Exodus. And the reason, this gets back to the classic literature that's being stripped from secondary education. If you know these two things, you know what the Common Core elitists are up to and why. All right? And then we're going to understand the founder's purpose of publicly funded education. It's not workforce training, it's a protection of the Republic. And I'll give you the rationale, how they thought that through. You'll understand that the Common Core State Standards Initiative is a transformation of the American Republic to Plato's Republic. Don't forget, they use the confusion of terminology very well. And we're all still talking about Republic, and while we're scratching our heads, they know exactly what's going on. And then understand that the vigilance to protect our Republic will be ongoing. No one bill in any state, no one bill in the U.S. Congress, nothing will stop this because this is a timeless struggle. When you talk about the struggle of powers and principalities or worldviews, you are talking about eternal principles. Don't ever expect this to go away. Our founder said that the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. That means you must teach this to your children. That's what public schools were for, all right? And I look around the room and you're all, you know, got the same color hair I do. That's good. It's about time we stepped up and did our job, okay? So, note that in Plato's Republic, the excess of liberty, whether in states or individuals, seems only to pass into excess of slavery. Okay, so what he was talking about is we got to have some kind of boundaries, but technology is not necessarily my thing. Look where the term social justice comes from. That's not a new idea. All right, Plato's idea is that society is just when relations between these three classes are right. The three classes were I'm going to get to that, but the classes were specialty areas, and there was no social mobility between the classes once you were assigned to one. All right? So here you are, the principle that requires each person to fulfill societal roles to which nature fitted him and not interfere with other business. And that's what you see going on in the European model of education, that once you exit out through an assessment exam, that's where you're going to be the rest of your life. That's what happened to Einstein. And the tests never found his genius. You know why? Because they weren't designed to look for it. He was so frustrated with the education system, he begged to be homeschooled. He got homeschooled, then had to go back, finish the darn certificate, and they decided that he would be doing well as a clerk. So at the age of 21, on his own accord, he writes his two papers on the theory of relativity. Not because of the school. All right? Now, the whole point is human genius gets trampled on when we don't unleash it and by just letting it happen. All right? When we try to box it in with tests. Here's the 3 classes, and you must pay careful attention to this. One is the producers. They make up the largest class on the bottom of the pyramid. They will be the workers, whether you are the professional workers or the manual laborers. You're all of that class. The second class is the auxiliaries or the warriors. All right, and the third class, this is the self-appointed elitists working right now to infiltrate Common Core into our system, are the guardians responsible for ruling the city. They're chosen from among the ranks of the auxiliaries. That's what republic means. Your leadership is chosen from the people. But notice, this is not a vote. You're assigned, all right? Now, in the Republic and the Laws, Plato wrote both of these, education was important for the health of the state. And the reason was the education setting was the arena where you brought all of the children together, you tested them, and you watched for values, attitudes, no, it begins with a D. I'll think of it. Yeah. But the point is, you're going to look for a personality and a constitution. And who's doing it? It's not the parents. It's the people who are organizing the education setting. This is Greek thought, all right? From 400 BC. He lays out a detailed program that starts with, I almost died when I saw this. Do you remember the superintendent Superintendent Saxon in Portland, Oregon? And he says, you know, when we mean P in PK, we mean prenatal. All right, this is what Plato had to say. He lays out a detailed program that says, start with the exercises a pregnant woman should perform to ensure the health of the fetus. And he goes on to explain not only that children should study, but also what values they should be exposed to in school, away from the parents. Socrates had no patience for an eclectic society, and he didn't want to leave it up to parents to raise the children. He believed if you were going to have peace, harmony, and justice, then everybody had to learn the same thing, and it had to be his values. So one can achieve only so much by arguing with a corrupt soul with a virtuous life. Plato recognized the need to teach children and that the education is the last thing that should be left to the chance of parental whim. Isn't that what we're hearing today? All right. Did you read Plato's Republic? No. Okay. Education then, dispositions is the word. Attitudes, mindsets, and dispositions. Education serves to identify those who are philosophizing and helps to strengthen character. If you read Linda Darling Hammond's writing on what we're trying to assess in these next generation assessments, it's attitudes, values, and mindsets. It's not English, math, and science. All right? Education in music and gymnastics would be compulsory. Their progress and adaptability would be watched and tested through their development. Folks, that's what the statewide longitudinal data system is for. These standards are not about elevating the quality of education. They are about building tabs into a spreadsheet for the statewide longitudinal data system. Get that through your head. The best thing we can do is scramble the sequence of standards, because then we screw up their spreadsheet. All right? Those who resolutely hold on to convictions instilled with them by education will be chosen as guardians. All right, and then the potential philosopher kings receive the new form of education, the liberal arts education, while everybody else gets workforce training. All right? Now, we're going to contrast Plato with a different republic. The book of Exodus describes the republic that God gave the Israelites. All right? So in Leviticus, it says, "Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment." Do you see the difference between social justice and God's idea of justice? Everybody, that's why justice is blind. You don't care if they're rich or poor. Everybody gets the same treatment. Now, it doesn't mean same, and this is where the liberals get off with their, we want equal pay. That's not what they mean. They mean same. Same is not the same as equal opportunity. All right? But they want everything to be the same. In Matthew, it's treat people the same way as you want them to treat you. In other words, we have equal value, not equal things. As human beings, we are equal in value. In Galatians, it says, "Ye have been called unto liberty. Use not liberty for an occasion to the flesh, but to serve one another." This is class mobility. In God's republic, we're not assigned to a class and must stay there for the good of the republic. What God does is he picks his leadership from wherever. And Moses is a case in point, because he was a slave, raised to a prince of Egypt, then taken to a shepherd, and then made a leader of his people. And that's God's prerogative, all right? So what he did in the book of Exodus then, he told us how to, believe it or not, organize the school system. Teach them the statutes and the laws. Government and civics were to be a priority in your liberal arts education, not workforce training. Show them the way they should live and the duties to perform, and select out of all of the people. In other words, that's your republic. You don't have a king. You don't have a dictator. Much like Plato, your leaders are taken from the people, but they have these other attitudes, mindsets, and dispositions. First, you're going to listen to your father's instruction. You're not being taken away from your parents. They're the ones God's going to hold responsible for teaching the children. The mindsets, attitudes, and values are wisdom and understanding. Train up the child in the way he should go, and then that's what you're going to get. So what God's attitudes and values are is that you would have men who feared God, that were trustworthy and hate dishonesty. Now, whether or not you're a believer, this is classic literature, and this is where our Constitution came from, all right? So Proverbs is full of what a good ruler is supposed to be learning in their liberal arts education to be raised up. Understanding and knowledge, hates ill-gotten gain, righteousness, and stability. So what God's republic does is turn Plato's republic on its head. Where Plato said man is made in the image of the state, God said man is made in the image of God. See, that's why we're having these tensions, these worldview conflicts here. The Mayflower Compact, God bless Larry Krieger, the Mayflower Compact was the original American document that established, hey, we don't have a king. And what we're going to do is order ourselves of our own volition to organize the government just to protect us. And then we will live in liberty because we live under God. All right, so what they came from was an Anglo-Saxon ruler's law where the kings just plain couldn't give up their godlike status. Remember Pharaoh, the emperor of China, and the Roman emperor all viewed themselves as gods. And the kings knew they wouldn't get away with that, so they decided they were representatives of God. But that meant he still had rule over people. And what God said, did he give the laws to a king? Oh, heck no. He gave them to his people. And then the people delegated those rights to the rulers. But they're not really rulers, they're public servants. And that's what we need to be teaching in school. The Mayflower Compact was the first document that really wrote down the equality of all human beings. That is what's called the Puritan principle. And the Puritan principle, in essence, is individual freedom. What the three, you might say, characteristics are of the Puritan principle is a free state, a free church, and a free school, so that you can have an enlightened mind to appreciate liberty. All right, what Jefferson said, and this is key, because they studied Plato and the Republic. Jefferson's comparing Plato's Republic to what they're trying to do with our American Constitution. He says the difference was a style of society then and with those people, meaning the ancient Greeks, which is now what I think is basically inappropriate. He said, I think little edification can be attained from their writings. They had just ideas of the value of personal liberty, but no good ideas about the structure of government. All right? And that's why we're in conflict with the guardians, the self-appointed guardians who are trying to force Common Core down on us. If we're Jeffersonian in our approach to the Republic, it can't work. They rejected it in the first place. The full experiment of a government, democratical but representative, was and is reserved for us. The introduction of a new principle. America is a new idea. And the difference is we're not Exodus because we're not all Hebrew. We're not of Jewish thought. And our founders didn't want a church established as the single religion, whereas in Exodus it was. You understand? So that's our difference, but so much of it was taken from Exodus. What Jefferson said was, those entrusted with power have in time and by slow operation perverted it to tyranny. The only way to protect us from descending into tyranny is to illuminate, as far as practical, the minds of people at large. That's the public. So where Plato is pulling out and classifying children according to their observational data, Jefferson is saying, nope, everybody gets it. In his Virginia plan, he says, we want to select youth of genius from among the classes of the poor, here's the word guardian, to help raise up leaders and be the guardian of our own liberty. Okay, just like Jenny, there's much more than this. And I know you're not. Yeah, let me go back to the end of what Jefferson has to say. First, you need to know, New Harmony is in Indiana. This whole thing was tried, and in 2 years it failed because it went bankrupt. All right? And then we have a series of elitist guardians, Rockefeller and Carnegie, who have since the 1930s have been funding these activities to undermine our Constitution, not through Congress, and I'll show you the documents later, not through Congress, but through non-governmental organizations, all right? And so what we have is a shadow government, and I just want to bless Phyllis Schlafly and Eagle Forum for putting out the Dear Hillary letter on their website, okay? Because this is where you read that letter, 18 pages of it, lays out the transformation from an American republic right back to Plato's republic, all right? And in the end, I'll show you the hope. What he says is, if it's believed these elementary schools will be better managed by a governor or a council than by parents within each ward, it's a belief against all experience. Do you understand how we knew that? All right? He's talking to us 250 years later, but he knew it because it had been tried in Greece. All right? And then what he says is, you are the hope. It's the individual grassroots people who vote who can control this government. But we have to know that. And so I'm advocating, like Sandra Stosky, for the liberal arts education and the return of the purpose of public schools to save our republic.